back in 1974, they got one LIP grant and hired a guy.
I remember the LIP grant.
And they hired a guy named Jed Irwin to be the gallery curator. And out of that one LIP grant, 40 years later, there's three major economic generators in the community: the art gallery, the Philbert Festival, and the art festival.
Cool.
Right. So, I'm trying to get to the question of why do you think it's important to preserve the history of the festival, and one of them's economic, isn't it? It had an impact.
Interesting. I struggle with this every day. I curate the museum on this island, and I am crazy for history. One of the habits that I'm into when I tour is to find the museum in the town I'm playing in, because it tells me a lot about the town I'm playing in. And it's the two things can happen very easily. One of them is that history gets warbled very easily. History is a very fragile truth, because it's not all good. It's not all this. It's not all that. It's there are things that happen at that festival that I'm sure nobody wants to talk about. That but the somehow the story has to be somehow preserved, I believe, because it's a good story. That's all. It's just a very good story. Historically, when you say historically, like somebody has to write this down so that we don't forget it. That's very, very true. But it's not going to be the truth per se. It's going to be the memory of the truth, and so therefore it's going to have kind of its own thing. But if we get it kind of early in the game, when people are still alive that we're there, it will be a beautiful story. And the story, if it's a good enough story, it'll be told over and over again. And the significance of that festival and the importance of it, that's one of the things that gets kind of foggy in the lens, because I think there's a tendency to want to make it a certain way because it was so important. It was, and so a lot of the truths get left that are not comfortable truths, or that are not considered important truths, or people just forgot about them. Time, where's the way? But I think it's really important to tell the story of that festival. It's a good story, and there were heroes and villains, and there were adventures, and there were disasters, and there were triumphs, and there were magical moments, and all the things you want to have in a good story happened there, and they happened with people in a community. They really did happen. So, yes, let's get that story straight. That's as straight as we can get it, because it ain't going to be... When the word historic comes in, just because I work in the museum, I see how, 10 minutes after something happens, it's already changed. It's already moved over a little bit or something like that. And the longer that time goes, the more. So, yeah, nail it down now while there's still good people to remember that we're there, and that will tell their story and how they saw it, how they remember it. And the image, even the images are not the real truth. They're selective, and which is, that's not bad news. It's just, I think that's what it is. And I find, for instance, like with the little band Pied Pumpkin, people relate their stories about their relationship with that music, and a lot of the time, I don't know what they're talking about, because my story and their story, even at the same gig, were two different perspectives, and what was important for them was just, like you're saying, the little kid that slept under the coats in the corner, I can remember that. And my son George, who we used to take on tour, and he slept behind the amps on stage, he remembers little little details about that I totally, really, I did that. Wow. Okay. Yeah. But it's a good story. Let's keep them up. Let's keep it there.